The Sports Central, we go over a college football game preview and prediction on the Week 8 matchup between the Penn State Nittany Lions and the Ohio State Buckeyes. Two teams that are two of your main national contenders this season, both of which in the Big Ten East. So two divisional teams going head-to-head here, definitely a lot on the line as we look forward to Week 8. We'll be over a full game preview and prediction on this matchup here today. Let's get started with their team trends. Penn State beat UMass last week 63-0. No problems against them, and this team is 6-0 to start out the season. And for Penn State, this is a team that last season was quietly one of the best teams in the country. Very much, I would almost say, underrated last season just because they lost to Michigan and Ohio State. So both the Buckeyes and the Wolverines really overshadowed Penn State last year. But as a whole, this team is probably even better this season than they were last year. I mean, 6-0 start. They have been dominant. Defensively, this team could be one of the best teams in the country. Honestly, if not the best. I mean, you can make an argument Penn State's got the best defense in the nation right now, the way that they've been playing so far this season. But for Ohio State on the other side, beat Purdue 41-7, dominant win for them. Ohio State has only gotten better so far this season. They're also 6-0 and 3-0 in conference. And all things considered, two top 7 teams, two national contenders. I mean, it's insane to look at the Big Ten because you got Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State in the Big Ten East. All three teams are big national contenders this season. The Big Ten West doesn't have any team even remotely close to a national contender, which is insane. But the Big Ten East is stacked as it has been in recent years once again in 2023. But games will be on Saturday, the 21st in Columbus. Ohio State is the home team for this one. And your kickoff is noon Eastern. Spread's going with Ohio State by 4.5. Over-under is 46.5. And the FPI is also going with the Bucks here, 63.5%. So Ohio State's the favorite, as you would probably expect, but it should be close. I think you got two really talented football teams here. And I mean, Penn State's going to be motivated from last season. This was a really good football team last season, just lost to Ohio State and Penn State, and that pretty much took them out of any contention in the Big Ten and also nationally. So, I mean, whoever comes out of the Big Ten East is absolutely in the college football playoff. And Penn State, they know what they need to do if they want to get to the college football playoff, which is definitely their ultimate goal. But, I mean, same for Ohio State. Ohio State last season managed to find a way into the college football playoff. But obviously this is a huge matchup for both teams, all things considered. Series history, Ohio State leads at 23-14. Bucks have won 6 straight and 9 out of the past 10 against Penn State. That's something that kind of surprised me a little bit. Penn State has rarely beaten Ohio State, especially in recent time. Stat comparison, Penn State is 7th in the country in points per game, 2nd in points allowed. This is a team that is very underrated defensively. They have been dominant this season. I mean, you consider so far the way they allowed 13 to Northwestern, they allowed 13 to Illinois, shut out Iowa, just shut out UMass as well. I mean, they haven't allowed more than 15 points to any team so far this season, and offensively they have been very impressive at points as well. So, I mean, for Penn State, the passing game is the main weakness, you could say. 73rd in the country in pass yards a game, 34th in rush yards a game. But overall, this is a really well-rounded, complete football team in Penn State here, and especially defensively, that's really where this team has shined to this point. But for Ohio State, on the other side, 11th in points per game, 3rd in points allowed, 22nd in pass yards a game. This is a team that is usually stacked with receivers. This season is no different. Kyle McCord is still trying to get used to being a starting quarterback, obviously a little bit inexperienced, but I mean, so is Drew Aller. He's also a very young quarterback that has been very impressive so far this season. Aller hasn't even thrown a pick so far this season, and we're headed into Game 7 for both teams. So you got two more inexperienced quarterbacks going head-to-head here, but clearly both quarterbacks are very talented, and offensively there's a lot of talent everywhere. I mean, you look at Ohio State with Marvin Harrison. No doubt he's going to be going high in this upcoming NFL draft. Already 600 yards on the season for him, and he's been a huge player for this team and in the season so far. But I mean, for Penn State being a team that is the top-ranked team in the country in pass defense, I mean, that's a tough matchup for Ohio State, being a team that really has found a way in the passing game, and that's usually how it's been the past few years for the Bucks. But for Penn State, top-ranked pass defense in the country, they match up pretty well there. Recent matchups, Penn State, obviously the dominant wins so far this season, beat up UMass and Northwestern, and the Northwestern game was close for a little while, but managed to find a way in the end. And I mean, that Iowa game was just brutal domination. They're 31-0, didn't allow a point there. And Iowa's currently 6-1 on the season, by the way. They just had a big win over Wisconsin this past week. Iowa, of course, doesn't have an offense, but defensively they've found a way, and they're probably the favorite in the Big Ten West right now. And then obviously for Penn State, beat Illinois 30-13, also beat Delaware 63-7. Ohio State on the other side beat Purdue 41-7, dominant win over Maryland 37-17. Close game for a while, but pulled away. And Maryland is not a bad football team. They've kind of had a bumpy last couple of games. Yeah, but that's still a halfway decent football team there. And you obviously got to consider the Notre Dame win. Beat them 17-14. Notre Dame is a team that is very talented. I mean, they've had a couple of tough losses this season, but Notre Dame still a very impressive win there. Obviously beat Western Kentucky 63-10. Also the Youngstown State win 35-7. But since then, this team has only gotten better, and that's something that you should definitely be keeping an eye on. This team is starting to click, and that's why this team, I think, is very dangerous at this point in this season. Your key points, Penn State 6-0. They shouldn't be overshadowed by Ohio State and Michigan until they play both teams and we figure out who is that top team in the Big Ten East, even the second place. I mean, we're going to get to see Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State all play each other, which is a great thing in the Big Ten East. But for Penn State right now, this team should not be overlooked. I think that kind of happened last season, and Ohio State and Michigan are both ranked in the top 3 right now. So I think it's easy to kind of overlook Penn State right now, but this team matches up well here. They can win this matchup, and I wouldn't be surprised one bit. But I mean, defensively, they have been brutal. This is a complete team that is built for a college football playoff run. I mean, Drew Aller's been incredible. This is a team that has got a lot of young, impressive talent. And that's something that I think is key to a successful team, and the future is bright as well for Penn State. But for the Buckeyes, this team over the weeks has only gotten better. They're starting to click and could become dangerous. Honestly, this team is already dangerous. You consider the past 3 games especially. I mean, offensively, it was tough against Notre Dame, only scored 17 there. But the last couple of matchups, this team has really started to click. And I mean, I think this is a big test for them and the best team they've played so far this season. And we're really going to find out a lot about both teams here, I think. I think Penn State is a team maybe I'm slightly more confident in. I mean, it's tough to say that, though, because, I mean, they have had a couple of slow starts in a couple of games against poor opponents. But, I mean, both teams being at 100% against each other, that's really where we're going to find out where both teams stand as we head into the second half of the season. But Ohio State home field advantage also could be huge for this team. I think that's definitely something to consider. And obviously a critical Big Ten East game that could have some big national implications. So with that, let's get the prediction here for Penn State and Ohio State. Big game coming up here in Week 8. And in the end, I'm going to be going with Ohio State to win this one 23-20. I think we see more of a lower scoring matchup here, which is something you might not expect. But Ohio State, I mean, their offense has been getting better, but I don't think they're to a point yet against probably one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in the country, in Penn State. I feel like Ohio State scores 23. Maybe down the stretch they might be able to score more, but I still feel like this is a team that is just starting to click. And so I think defensively Ohio State comes up huge here, though. They only allow 20, but it's going to be a close game and one that could absolutely go either way here, but I'm going to be going Buckeyes 23-20. I'll say 55% towards Ohio State. Over-unders 46.5. I'm taking the under on that and Penn State to cover the spread in the end. But, I mean, I do want to say, though, I know Ohio State being the home team in this matchup, and, I mean, they're ranked higher, and they got more attention last season versus Penn State, and they've also won 9 out of the past 10. But Penn State's a team that, once again, should not be overlooked. I feel like this is a game that almost is a 50-50 shot. Penn State can absolutely win this game, and I wouldn't be surprised one bit. I just am slightly leaning towards Ohio State, and I'm more confident in the Buckeyes, I think, in this matchup. But with that, let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this matchup, your score predictions, all of that down in the comments. And stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. I'll catch you on the next one.